You reach for your phone first thing in the morning. Before you even sit up. Before you speak a single word to anyone. Your thumb finds the screen and you scroll. You're not looking for anything specific. You're just looking. And you do this every single day. But here's what you never noticed: no other animal on this planet does anything like this. No chimpanzee wakes up and checks a piece of bark for updates. No dolphin scrolls through images of other dolphins. No crow checks what other crows are doing before it leaves the nest. So what makes you different? What is the one thing, the single defining trait, that separates you from every other living creature on Earth? You might say language. Or tools. Or intelligence. But here's the problem: every single one of those things exists in other animals. Crows use tools. Dolphins have complex vocalizations. Octopuses solve puzzles. Chimpanzees learn sign language. So if those aren't the answer, then what is? The answer might actually surprise you. It's not something you have that other animals don't. It's something you can't stop doing. Something you do so automatically that you don't even realize you're doing it right now. Let's go back to 1960. A young researcher named Jane Goodall is sitting in the forests of Tanzania. She's watching a chimpanzee she's named David Graybeard. And one day, something happens that changes everything. David Graybeard picks up a twig. He strips off the leaves. He dips it into a termite mound. He pulls it out covered in termites. And he eats them. He just used a tool. This was the moment that shattered everything scientists thought they knew. Up until that moment, we believed that tool use was what made us human. That was our thing. Our special trait. And then a chimpanzee with a twig destroyed that idea forever. The definition of what makes us human had to change. And it's been changing ever since. In the decades that followed, researchers kept discovering more and more things that humans supposedly owned, but other animals had them too. Language? Vervet monkeys have different alarm calls for different predators. One call for eagles. A different call for snakes. A different call for leopards. Those calls are specific, they're learned, and they're understood by other monkeys. That's a form of language. Culture? Japanese macaques started washing sweet potatoes in the sea. They learned it from each other. It spread through the troop. That's culture. Empathy? Elephants mourn their dead. They gather around the bones. They touch them with their trunks. That's empathy. So what's left? What do you have that no other animal has? You have the ability to imagine worlds that don't exist. You can sit in your room, in your chair, in your body, and you can imagine being someone else. Somewhere else. At a different time. You can imagine the future. You can imagine the past. You can imagine a version of yourself that is richer, smarter, more successful. You can imagine a version of yourself that made a different choice 10 years ago. And then you can feel regret about that imagined choice. You can imagine what it would be like to live in a different city. To have a different job. To be loved by someone you haven't met yet. And that imagined world feels real enough to change your behavior. Right now. In this moment. No other animal does this. Not one. A chimpanzee can use a stick to get termites. But a chimpanzee cannot imagine using a better stick. It cannot imagine a world where the termites are easier to reach. It cannot imagine a different life. And it certainly cannot imagine that it might be wrong about something. This ability has a name. Cognitive scientists call it mental time travel. It's the ability to project yourself forward and backward in time. Not just to remember, but to re-experience. Not just to plan, but to pre-experience. And it completely changes how you navigate the world. When you wake up in the morning, you don't just react to what's in front of you. You're already living in the future. You're thinking about the meeting you have at 2 p.m. You're rehearsing what you're going to say. You're imagining how your boss will respond. You're feeling anxiety about a conversation that hasn't happened yet. You're feeling hope about a promotion that might happen 6 months from now. You are constantly projecting yourself into moments that don't exist. And no other animal does this. In 2007, a researcher named Thomas Suddendorf published a landmark paper on this very subject. He argued that mental time travel is the one thing that makes human cognition entirely unique. His work built on decades of research from psychologists like Endel Tulving, who first coined the term autonoetic consciousness, which is just a fancy way of saying that you can mentally travel through time and know that you're doing it. Tulving's studies showed that this ability is tied to a specific part of your brain, the prefrontal cortex. That's the part right behind your forehead. It's the most recently evolved part of the human brain. And it's the part that allows you to think about thinking. It's the part that allows you to doubt yourself. It's the part that allows you to imagine being wrong. And it's the part that allows you to change your mind. Now here's the twist, and this is where things get interesting. That ability to imagine worlds that don't exist? It doesn't just make you special. It also makes you miserable. Because that same brain that can imagine a better life can also imagine disaster. That same brain that can plan for the future can also worry about it. That same brain that can feel hope can also feel dread. And here's the cruel irony, the dread is actually more powerful than the hope. Your brain evolved to scan for threats. The human brain has what scientists call a negativity bias. You are 4 times more sensitive to negative events than positive ones. That's why one embarrassing memory from high school can ruin your whole afternoon. That's why you can't stop thinking about that awkward thing you said at the party 3 weeks ago. Your brain is doing its job. It's protecting you from imagined dangers. But those imagined dangers don't exist. They never existed. They were just thoughts. And those thoughts are running your life. Let's look at what this does to you in practice. You've already done it today. You imagined a conversation that went badly. You imagined someone judging you. You imagined failing at something. And you felt the emotion of that failure in your body. Your heart rate went up. Your breathing changed. You tensed your shoulders. And then you adjusted your behavior, you avoided the conversation. You changed your plans. You stayed home. All of this happened because of something that never happened. Because of a future that doesn't exist. This is the most human thing you can do. And it happens thousands of times a day. But here's the part that might genuinely shock you. Some researchers now believe that this ability to imagine, to project yourself into the future, might actually be the reason you have such a large brain in the first place. Not tools. Not language. Not walking upright. Imagining. A 2014 study by researchers at Harvard, led by Daniel Shatter, showed that the brain networks you use to remember the past are the exact same networks you use to imagine the future. Your brain doesn't have separate systems for past and future. It has one system that does both. Which means every time you remember something, you're also rehearsing the ability to imagine. And every time you imagine something, you're also constructing a future memory. This is why your memories are so unreliable. You're not remembering what happened. You're constructing what you think happened. And every time you reconstruct that memory, you change it. Slightly. The next time you remember it, you're remembering the changed version. And so on. Until your memory is more fiction than fact. But it feels real. This is the great paradox of being human. You have a brain that can see the future. But it can also lie to you. It can create worlds that don't exist and convince you they're real. And it can do this so seamlessly that you don't even notice it's happening. You are storytelling yourself into existence right now. Everything you believe about who you are is a story you've told yourself. That story is built on imagined memories, imagined futures, imagined comparisons to other people. And you believe it. You believe it with your whole being. But here's the quiet truth that might actually set you free: you are not your thoughts. You are the thing that notices your thoughts. You are the observer behind the story. And that observer has been there since the day you were born. So think about that next time you reach for your phone. You're not just checking for notifications. You're checking for evidence that you exist in other people's minds. You're checking to see if anyone has thought about you. You're checking to see if you matter. That's the human brain at work. The same brain that once imagined a better hunting spot. The same brain that once imagined a better spear. The same brain that once imagined a better life. And the same brain that now imagines a world where you're worth checking in on. That is what separates you from every other animal on Earth. Not your tools. Not your language. Not your culture. But your ability to reach for a world that doesn't exist and then to reach for your phone to find out if anyone else is in that world with you. If you got this far, thank you for being here with me. Don't forget to like and to subscribe for more videos and share this with your friends. See you in the next one.